Good day and welcome to Rocket with Chief. My name is Daniel Robus. I'm your host, and today we are meeting people who are changing the world. Mary Mlambo and the Lungelo Youth Development Organisation. What do you get when you have a driven woman who sees a glaring problem and a huge gap not being filled in a meaningful way? Well, that's what we're going to find out today. As founder and director of Lungelo Youth Development, Mary Mlambo was 2014 Inspirational Woman of the Year, awarded by the KZN-based Born Brave Foundation. 2017 finalist in Social Category Regional Business Achievers Awards from the Business Women's Association. 2017 Merit Award for Service Above Self from Rotary Club of Richards Bay. Senior Experience Services Representative of South Africa. Mary, you have many titles, many things. Most people just know you as someone who gives the biggest hugs in the world. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm very well, and you, Daniel? Thank you for the opportunity.
Mary, you in a nutshell, what does Lungelo Youth Development Organisation do?
We are in the space of providing solutions for challenges that we pick up in the community. You know, the short and sweet of it is that we identify
so what does that mean
challenges.
in English? What is that in English?
Okay, so what happens is we identify, and I'll give you an example. Maybe it will make more sense. For instance, as I'm speaking with you, it is school holidays. So we picked up that during the holidays, there isn't a lot of activities, extramural activities going on for the children. So the kids are bored and they get up to all sorts of mischief because parents are either out looking for work or they are at work, but children are unsupervised. So we put together a holiday program where we have kids come to the center. We assist them with reading. For instance, we teach them reading skills. We play games with them. So we keep them busy. And of course, in between, we give them a snack because we know that most of the children have a meal at school using the government feeding scheme. Now that it's school holidays, they don't have that meal. So we try and fill that gap. So and really, that's what we do.
How many kids are there in Lungelo?
So our numbers fluctuate from time to time. As I'm speaking with you, we have got, yesterday we had 110. I don't have today's count yet. Yesterday we had 110 children that came to the center, and we also feed in the village. So at a certain time, we drive around the certain spots where we go and drop off sandwiches. And that came about during COVID times. And we have, since then we have not stopped because, during COVID times, people didn't have food and there were really, really difficulties out there. So we started a project where we make sandwich and jam peanut butter and we deliver to children in the village. We thought we will do it only for that time, but it has grown so much and it has been a thing where communities are saying, please do not stop. Because some children come pick up the sandwich and they go and share it with the grandmother at home. They share it with adults, not just children.
No ways.
In a day, we feed about 300 or more children.
Wow. And that started, let's rewind a little bit. Explain to the people who have never been to the area where you are. They think Richards Bay, they think of an industrial town. Where exactly are you and what is the situation like there?
All right, so I am in a little village. It's semi-rural called Mzingazi, which is just outside one of the very fancy suburbs in Richards Bay, Miransia. It's on your way to Richards Bay Minerals, which again is the biggest mining area here. So the village came about following the people that came to work in the industries. Like you rightfully say, it's a very industrial area. That's how the village came about. So it's an area where you have a lot of people that are unemployed. Unemployment is rife. You've got a lot of young people that are not motivated to even go to school because they see their peers or their elder siblings that have either gone to school, have got some qualification, but have got no job. So it's like, what is the point of me going to school because it doesn't work for me? I was told it's a key to success, but there is no success.
Wow.
So part of what we do is to encourage and motivate these young people. Then it's also an area where, because it's semi-rural, most parents, young parents, are out to either Joburg, Durban, those big cities where they're looking for jobs, and children are left with the grandparents and
Okay.
other family members. Some children are left on their own, so one of them has to assume a role of being a head of the family.
What
So
ages are we
that's
talking about? What ages are we?
all right. So we work with young people from all ages. I mean, we've got a creche, an ECD, where the ECD started as an area where we want to look after children of the young girls that were teen mothers, that we say to them, go back to school or go develop yourself or go learn something. You cannot just sit at home because you've got a baby. So we've got small children, which is from about age 2. Then we've got school-going children, your preteens and your primary and high school children. And then we've got those that are out of school.
Sure. So you've really
Um,
got a heart for the community. You span the whole side there.
Yeah, so we try and accommodate everybody, because you've got that gap, the transition of people that finished high school and they're supposed to be looking for a job or try go over to a tertiary institution, and either they didn't do great to get acceptance or they just don't have the money to go there. So they have to be somewhere. Somebody has to give them space to find a niche, to find something that they can do. So yeah, that's what we do.
Mary, before we talk around putting starfish back in the ocean, you had a
Yeah,
corporate career with the trappings of a young executive. You were
correct.
at insurance. You
Yes.
had a stellar career ahead of you.
Yeah.
How did you give all of this up to move to rural KZN? What happened?
It's seeing a it's seeing a need. I came to Richards Bay on holiday, and I noticed that there was like something amiss. You find a lot of young people. It wasn't during the week. You find a lot of young people walking around. There's quite a number of um, taverns around, and then you start to talk to people. I mean, I'm that kind of person that will just talk to people and find out what's going on. And then people would say to me, oh yeah, we don't have this, no, we would love it, because I spoke to the young people and say, yeah, we would love to have a youth center around. I spoke to the schools, and with one lady I met who's a teacher, and she told me the situation in school about children that are really not taken care of. They've got quite a few needs, and young people that said, I want to do something, but there's nothing else to do. So I would rather go sit at a shebeen and drink all day because I've got nothing else to do. So really, I identified a need, I identified a gap, and I started the youth center to fill the gap. So that's why our youth center, we call it a resource center for young people to come and find space, to tap into themselves and find what really they want to do.
This must have come as a bit of a surprise to your family. You were living in an affluent neighborhood, and then you moved to a container, if I remember.
Yes. It was a difficult decision to make. It was very hard. We had to sacrifice quite a bit as a family, because now you can imagine that without my corporate job, it means even the lifestyle at home had to change.
Sure.
And also it was very difficult for me as well, because like you rightfully say, moving from an affluent neighborhood where I had pretty much everything that I needed, well, really very, very comfortable life, to having to adjust to a life that I didn't even know. I've never lived in a rural area in my life. It was the first time. I'd never, bath in a little tub instead of a big shower where I just walk in. So it was a huge adjustment for family and for me. It, it took a while to adjust. Sometimes I'm actually wondering if I have adjusted. But above everything else, family was very supportive. My husband and my children and my siblings said, if this is what you think you want to do, we're not going to stop you. We will support you. If you can reach out and make a difference, why not?
It must be difficult to watch your compatriots from a corporate perspective driving the Ferrari, walking around in Santon buying Gucci when you see kids around you that don't have food and don't have parents and structure. Any message for them that you send through?
I wish they would be in touch with reality. Go down somewhere. It's not necessarily about just buying food for somebody. It's about sitting down and have a discussion with somebody. It makes somebody feel better. It makes them feel different. And I'm not trying to make them feel guilty, but you go buy that Ferrari, of course you can afford it. That's the life that you want. But somebody else next to you does not have that. Don't wear, what's the English word? Oogklappies? I don't know what's the English word.
Don't wear blinkers. Don't wear blinkers.
Yeah, don't wear blinkers and turn a blind eye to what goes on in the world, because this is reality of who we are and what is going on in our neighborhoods. And it will take us to change it. It will not take anybody else coming from anywhere. So my message to them would be, it is in our doorstep. You don't have to go 700 kilometers away like I did to find it. Right down the street from Sentinel, it is there. Go and make a difference. Just go sit down and speak to somebody.
Sure.
Understand what they're going through.
Okay.
And listen. Yeah.
Now, Mary, you do a lot of the face work, and you contacting folks overseas and donors and people in South Africa. How much of your day is spent online versus offline?
So yeah, online has been a challenge, especially with living in this area, because we don't even have infrastructure to have fiber. For instance, I use mobile Wi-Fi that I have to move the router around to find a right spot to make sure that we don't lose connectivity. So and these are some of the things that people take for granted, like, oh, we will have a virtual meeting. Like, okay, it works for you, it doesn't work for me. So I try and balance my time, to make sure that I spend time virtually, but there is no time to sit in the office, because if you're serving the community, you have to be out there with the community. The people that need you, you go sit under a tree with them somewhere and chat to them. You have to go sit somewhere under a rock and talk to people and provide sandwiches and provide sanitary pads, things that we take for granted. Yeah.
We're gonna talk about that, about girls' access to school, because they don't have undergarments, don't have panties.
Yes.
This barrier to Wi-Fi and to connectivity, is it a real issue? Do you think that this is holding your kids back, or do you think we're making a bit much of it?
It's holding back in a sense that not all of them have got. There are certain areas when you move further down in the village, even if you have got data to connect to your phone, you cannot connect at all because there is no network in the area. Telkom cannot come and put in wires here because there's no infrastructure.
Okay.
So it holds them back, but there are certain areas like where we are, the kids are able to come here, but it's not all the kids that can reach us, but they are able to come here. For instance, especially during COVID, they had to study online. Then they could come here and study from here because we've got the resources. But if you go home, they only have got that little 100 Rand phone just to make a phone call. Nobody's got a smartphone at home. And where are the kids supposed to study? Or even if they have got a smartphone, they have got WhatsApp data, not data to be able to do research or anything like that. Because, when you have to decide, do I buy enough data for my child to study online, or do I buy a bag of meal for the whole family to eat? What do you
Wow.
do? Yeah.
Wow. Now
Yeah.
you came with big eyes from Johannesburg. What's been harder
Mhm.
than you anticipated? What did you take for granted was there? We've spoken infrastructure. I noticed
Mm.
you're talking about washing in a bucket. Oh, Mary, we can talk around that. What's been harder than you anticipated?
It's thinking that it would be just a walk in the park. I would come here, the young people would fall over themselves coming for this assistance that I think I'm bringing. And so, one of the biggest things was people raise their eyebrows. It's like, where do you come from? What do you want? People don't trust you because you're not a local. Why would you leave your fancy lifestyle and come here? Are you like some scammer? Are you coming here to rob people of a little bit of what they have and disappear? So, the issue of trust was one of the big, big issues that I struggled with.
So for people who are getting involved in their own sort of NPO, being part
Mm.
of the community and living in the community, do you think that's a prerequisite, or is that how do you build that barrier or that build that bridge of trust? What would you say
It,
are
it is
tips
like
for that?
it is actually a prerequisite because I noticed that since I've been here for almost 10 years. So since I've been here, and people got to trust me, people got to know me, it's like, oh, okay, so you are one of us. And now that I'm here, I see when another organization from outside come and want to provide some service or some relief here, it's like, why, what do you want? So one of the first things people ask is like, whose child is that? Or which school did they go to? Where did they grow up? And if they cannot find all of that, then the questions start coming up. Like, are you here now to steal from us and disappear?
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
Eh,
Yes.
eh, Do you think the exclusion from the digital world is a good thing or a bad thing for your kids in the village now?
Um, for me, it's a bad thing. Well, both bad and good. It's a bad thing because the world is moving to the digital space. It limits them because when they finish high school and they have to go see the world, one of the things I'm trying to bring here is the exchange world. So if they were to travel to Germany on an exchange program, they will be totally in a completely different world. Already when they finish high school and go to university, when you go to UJ, it is a university for everybody. It doesn't matter where you come from, whether you come from a private school or you come from a rural village, you go to the same university. And now your peers would be 10 steps ahead of you because you come from a place where you don't have a computer. You don't even know how to type up your assignment. You think you're going to write it by hand.
Wow.
So in that way, they are left behind. In another way, I feel that they are protected. I love seeing young people playing around, playing to go outside and play football instead of playing
PlayStation or online. Yeah.
PlayStation or playing online games or watching some videos online. I love seeing young people being outside in the nature, enjoying and just being themselves out there. And
Mary?
sorry, I wanted to say
Mm,
that protects them from some of the all this negativity that
mm,
comes with social media.
mm. Mary,
Mm.
you've got 5 active programs on your website. What are they? What is the biggest uptake, and what are the programs? Do you teach any technology skills to your kids?
We actually do. So unfortunately, our website is a bit outdated. We really need to update it.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, it is. We don't have people with those skills to assist us. And we don't have the money to employ a service provider to keep it going for us.
So just a pause there. Anyone who's listening who can build a website and wants to work with Mary in changing the world, reach out. Can they get you via the website?
Yes, they can. They can. So the email address that's there, we manage that email address every day.
All right. So
Yeah.
if you want to do something amazing and build an amazing website, please reach out. Okay, carry on, Mary. What else do you teach these kids?
Thank you, Daniel. All right. So yes, you asked about the digital skills.
Mm,
We actually do computer training. We do basic introduction to computers training here.
okay. And
We give to young people. So we give to children in school, in primary school, grade 6 and 7. We also give to young people that finished high school and are not in employment and not in any formal education or in any form of training. So we
okay.
give those computer training skills to them.
Okay. And how do you fund
Yeah.
this? What keeps you
Uh,
going? Where do you get the sandwiches, the computers, the data, the connectivity?
okay, so the computers, about 3, 4 years ago, we got computers from Vodacom Foundation. We got about 10 laptops from them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then at the moment, we've got about 4 laptops that was donated by an organization called LabDo in Germany. What they do is they get, actually we've got about 6 of those. They get um, laptops, old laptops that they refurbish and donate to the world.
Oh, wow. What a nice organization.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. And then
Yeah. Yeah.
the sandwiches and the peanut butter, is that coming from your ex-corporate salary still?
Part of it comes from my ex corporate salary, which it's really, really diminishing because, if there's no money coming in, it's all going out. It's diminishing very fast. But we also have got a sponsorship from KFC. People that eat KFC, they buy KFC, they must pay that to rent because we
Okay.
are one of the beneficiaries. It is not people in jail.
Yeah. Okay,
So,
so I'm having KFC for lunch now, Mary, just for you.
yay.
Donate your R2, folks. So that comes to you. That's amazing. That is brilliant.
Yeah. So we are one of the beneficiaries of the KFC feeding scheme. So the bread and jam and sandwich we buy from that. Also the bakery where we buy bread, they do donate some of the bread as well. So, if
Who's
we
that
buy,
bakery?
they are called Wheat Flour. They are based in Richards Bay.
Well, big up
Yeah.
to Wheat Flour. Let's give them some kudos for that as well. Thank you, Wheat Flour. Thank you for keeping it going.
Yeah.
You've also got a
Thank you.
volunteer program where people
Yes.
come from outside and assist you guys. What does that do?
It actually part of what has really kept us going because these volunteers, when they go back, I mean, for instance, these laptops that we get from Germany, it's because one of our past volunteers, when she went back, she tried to find where she could assist. And that's how she found us this company that is assisting with laptops. So unfortunately, COVID has set us back because no one was traveling. So we did not have any volunteers coming.
So
I
what
think
is
we'll
the
only start.
volunteer program? What is it doing now?
So, all right, the volunteer program is where it's these young people that finish high school overseas and they kind of take a gap year and they want to go somewhere in the world to go volunteer. So it is that, but there's also, we registered on a website called Work Away.
Okay.
These are volunteers that come while they're traveling, while they're on holiday. So while they're on holiday somewhere in the world, they also want to give back in the communities.
Okay.
Those ones stay for anything from between 2 weeks to about 3 months or so because they're really always on a go. So they really have been great because remember, we don't have money to pay salaries. So all these volunteers that come here are the ones that really assist, with the computer trainings, with the reading clubs, with playing sports, with any other assistance that they can provide, just to come here and butter a sandwich, or come here and find that there's a house that is falling apart. We go with volunteers and they assist just to, to hammer a few things together and make sure that that shack doesn't fall and people are sleeping in a bit of a safe place.
And do your volunteers stay at Lungelo? Have you got accommodation for these folks?
Yeah. We've got a house with 2 bedrooms, so we don't host a lot here. We try and get them to be hosted in the community. But when you host people in the community, when you ask the communities to host someone that um, they cannot even feed themselves, and they have to feed an extra mouth, because these volunteers, they don't pay anything, and people would say, why must I host somebody from Europe who's got all the money and I don't have the money? And they don't understand, because I brought a foreign concept that they're not used to, that people will come here to come and assist us, and in exchange of their services, we give them food and accommodation.
Yes.
So people don't understand that, because people saying, a foreigner, yes, we understand the volunteering at the organization, but when they live with us at home, they're using water, they're using electricity.
Okay.
So that water and electricity still has to be paid for.
And this volunteer program, do you cater for South Africans as well? If we've got a lazy layabout teenagers that have finished school and are having a gap year playing PlayStation, can we send them to Mama Mlambo and they can come and hammer and nails and all the rest?
If they are willing to, we would be happy to welcome them. Actually, interesting enough, we've never had a request from any of the local South African volunteers.
Hey.
Yes. Yeah. I know the Robus family is coming. Yay!
So for our listeners, Mary is taking my daughter and her best friend, and they are going to be the first South African volunteers. So thank you, Mama Mlambo, for inviting them to your house. My 16-year-old will be there. So
yeah, awesome. Okay. Look, around where I live, you get these young people that come here to want to volunteer, and they come for different reasons. Some of them are volunteering that in case there's a job opportunity, I can get employed. Mm-hmm. Some are really, really volunteering, saying, you know what, I'm sitting at home, I'm losing my mind sitting doing nothing. I really want to come and do something.
Wow.
But on the websites like your Workaway, it is always foreign people that are applying. I've never had an application from a South African.
Let's change that. Come on, to all the people from Rocket, you've got youngsters. Let's change that and get South Africans volunteering. Mary, isn't it easy to be overwhelmed by the challenges you faced? How do you stay ahead of the game? How do you keep throwing the starfish back in the ocean?
It can be very, very overwhelming. Sometimes when I go to my little home, close the door, I actually just wonder, is this me? How am I doing this? Look, I've got great support of family. I also have, I guess, my faith. I'm a Christian, so my faith helps to keep me going as well. Because on Sundays, people know no matter how hard I work, Sunday I make time to go to church, because this is where I kind of de-stress and get to focus and be me, and and try and calm down.
What do you need in order to take the next step? Where do you take Lungelo Youth Development to next? What's the big goal for you?
Sure. The vision is big. I would want to replicate it in some other deep rural areas somewhere, because I have seen what it has done, and I have seen that it was not a mistake. I have seen that it really, really has made a difference in a few other young people, and I would want to see that elsewhere, There are places where there's youth centers. So where there isn't any, I really would want to do that. That's number one. But number two, one of my big dreams is to have like a private school. So the children that comes to our daycare center, we teach them values, we teach them morals, we give them something different that your normal school doesn't give them. And we can actually see, because the feedback we get from schools, the two primary schools around our area always say, we want the children from Lungelo. And over time, we can see that our children lose our values that we've taught them here. So what I would want, my vision and my dream is that if our children were to go through at least up to about grade 4, then they can go into the normal schooling, because then I think they would be strong enough. They would have learned what we taught them, and it would not be easy to lose that, because little things like teaching children reading skills, teaching them the confidence of being able to know who they are. Children, teaching
Please
them
and thank you.
please and simple manners. Teaching them to know that there's a world out there, exposing them to volunteers. You may have children that when they see a white person, they're even scared to touch them because they don't know if this is if this is a human being. And
Yeah.
we expose our children to that. They get to understand that there's a bigger world out there than just sitting in our little corners and complaining about everything else that we can change.
Why is this important to my audience, Mary?
It is important because we want to change this world to be a better place. We, this moral regeneration, it's something that we can't sit back and watch moral decay. And sometimes it's a bit too late to intervene at age 16, 17, 18. But if we build and give them a solid foundation, my hope and my belief is that they will grow with that, and they will be able to change the world, and probably the little ripple effects will make this our beautiful country, a better one, instead of the way it's going at the moment.
Two more questions for you,
Yeah.
Mary, before we
Yeah.
let you get back to what you actually want to be doing. What's the
Okay.
biggest lesson that you've learned as being part of Lungelo Youth Development?
um, there's a lack of parenting skills out there. Parents are getting younger and younger.
Sure.
You know that the in the past there used to be that generational thing. You find that in a family there's a granny and a mother, and so parents are getting younger and younger, and they're moving away from the grandparents. So there's no passing on of those parental skills. People are broken, people are going through a lot, and they take it out on the vulnerable and the easy targets, and normally which is the children. And those children are going to take it over to the other children, and this moral decay and the negativity and the broken communities just keep growing and growing and growing. So one of the things I would want to do is to take a few steps back and say, it does not help to try and assist and build these children, and yet they're going back to this home where they get broken again. They're not encouraged, they're not motivated, they're not told how beautiful they are. They don't even get a squeeze, they don't get hugged. I remember when I first came here, I used to, when I opened my arms to hug children, they would actually run away thinking that I want to hit them. You think that I want to slap you. In the meantime, I just want to give you a hug. And now when I come and I walk and children just come flooding me just for a squeeze. So I would want to go back and maybe have a school for adults just to teach them those things.
Wow. If you were speaking to a room full of business executives, what would you ask them?
I would ask them not just to give your money without understanding, but go there and understand, so that when you when you invest, don't say I'm donating, say I'm investing, because you're investing in a life, you're investing in a future of a young person. This giving because of guilt or because of tax break, it's not, it, it doesn't carry weight. It's yeah, we will accept it, but I wish people would actually, it should come from the heart. It should come from a place where you're saying, I really am investing in the life of a young person, not just giving money.
I was worried that I didn't have a mic drop moment, and you just came through here. Don't just give money to donate, invest in a life. Mary, that is an amazing way to conclude our time together. I cannot wait to come and get a Mary Mlambo squeeze from you in Richards Bay. I can't wait to come and spend time with you and get some dirt under my fingernails and see what's going on, and see these kids and scare them and run around and play and be in the sun with you, and just learn from you, learn at your feet about how we change the country. I would love to say that your voice is going to be heard by thousands, which it will.
Wow.
If people
Thank you.
come, give me that web address again so that we know where to go.
So it is www.lungeloyouthdevelopment.org.za. And my email address is, so our email address is info@lungeloyouthdevelopment.org.za. Do you want my contact number as well?
No, that's perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay.
From
great.
our side at Rocket, I just want to say thank you for doing what you are doing. Thank you for bringing corporate to where it's needed. And just thank you for the love that you share with your community. See.
Thank you, Daniel. Thanks for the opportunity, and looking forward to see you soon.
Have a lekker day.
Great. Thank you. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.